Hi, it's episode 178 of your favorite daily podcast, A Couple of Things, a podcast about things. Today, I'm going to be talking about some thoughts from my time in university about planning and all those kinds of things.
Hi, guys. We are almost halfway through the year, which means that we are almost halfway through the daily podcast, and I'm so thrilled about this milestone. I'm thinking of how I'm going to celebrate. So, if you have any thoughts or ideas or tips on how I can mark and celebrate this wonderful, wonderful achievement of meeting the milestone of the midway point, let me know. So yesterday I was going to talk about this topic, but then I got inspired by another topic. And this topic, I actually don't know where it came from. I just woke up yesterday morning with this idea, or before I went to bed the night before, with the idea of talking about this. And it was around like um, managing life. And the whole lesson, so to say, is taking things one step at a time. So in a previous episode, I've definitely talked about how I got into Unilag feeling like I couldn't like do really well because I had come off this quote unquote series of failures, academic failures, which I hadn't experienced. I didn't have much experience which up until that point. And so I was just there like going to be going on vibes. But I remember during we had like a kind of onboarding thing for my department, Department of Psychology. They did like some kind of onboarding thing for the new students, of which we were new students because we were going, although we're going into year two, we were not part of the, I don't know how to describe it, but we were new students basically, even though we were going into year two. So it was kind of like we transferred into year two, something like that. So they had asked the best student in the faculty at the time. I think he was already in his final year. Yeah, he was starting his final year then, to come and talk to us. I hope I'm remembering this correctly, but this is how my brain remembers it. They had asked him to come and talk to the new people. So this was like people who were in year one, who were just like coming into Unilag Psychology year one, and then us who were coming from um the direct entry program into year two. So we're all there. Again, I hope I remember. This is how I remember it. And he said something that kind of helped me with the shift. And I only just realized this like yesterday or 2 days ago that this was actually what helped me with that shift. I always wondered like, how did I get to that point where I was like, let me take this thing one day at a time. And then I remember that it was him who said it. So he, at that point, he had a 5.0 CGPA, and Unilag functions on a 5 point scale, and he was on track to graduate with a perfect CGPA, which I don't think had happened in psychology up until that point, if I remember correctly. And so he had said that instead of thinking about, oh, I want to graduate to the first class, or focusing on that big goal, right? He said that what he did was he just focused on the assignment that was in front of him, the test that was in front of him, the exam that was in front of him, and on and on. And when you keep doing that, like doing the absolute best you can with this exam, with this test, with this homework, with this paper that you have to write, whatever it is that is right in front of you, putting all your energy into that to do the best that you can. And then that accumulates. And then breaking things down. So to get an A, you need to score 70 over 100 in your total, right? And your CA is, I think, 30. I don't remember very well anymore, but I think CA was 30 points, continuous assessment, so tests, papers, all those things was 30 points, and your exam was 70 points out of that. So if you break that down, do the best that you possibly can with your papers and your homework and your projects, those kinds of things. Do the best that you can so that you can score the highest possible marks. So that's like worst case scenario. If you're doing 20, 25 over 30 in your CA, worst case scenario, you need to score 45 or 40 at the minimum in your exam. And if you can score 25, 20 in your CA, you're pretty much good to go for your exam, because like you can definitely at the very least get 40 or 45 over 70. So you're not trying to get 60 over 70 or 70 over 70. You have a much smaller gap to cover if you do really well on your CA. And that really, really helped me in thinking about my approach to school. Hi, thanks for listening so far. Just to pop in to say, please send me questions. I'm running out of things to talk about, so send me questions or suggestions. The link to do that is in the description box of the episode. Also, subscribe. Thanks. Okay, let's get back into the episode. And when I look back even further, I can also see that, look, that's also what helped me in secondary school. Like continuous assessment, as homework, midterm tests, do really well on those things. And then you don't have to struggle so much at exam stage. The only difference though in secondary school was that your actual score mattered. In university, your actual score didn't matter. If you scored 90 over 100 is A. If you scored 70 over 100 is still A. But in secondary school, it mattered because when you're doing all the total scores to choose the best in the class, you're adding up the individual scores for the individual exam. So it's not enough for you to get an A. You have to score, because especially when I got into like SS2, SS3, the competition was fierce. Well, very fierce. But anyway, so yeah, that was really a light bulb moment for me, a turning point, I would say, where it just changed how I approached the whole thing. It was like, okay, I don't actually have to focus on whether I graduate to first class, because honestly, when I got to Tunilag, I was just like, well, even if I do 2-2, it's fine, I shall graduate, let me know, have carryovers or whatever. That was my goal, not to have carryover. But when he said that, it kind of changed something for me, because he helped me realize that, oh, okay, no, this is something that you've done this before, you can do it again. So I spent a lot I did my homework and test and all of those things as well as I could to help boost my CA, so that in the exam I wasn't so stressed. Because imagine scoring knowing that your CA is like 10 over 30, and so to get you are trying like, oh, I need to get 60 over 70 to get an A, oh my goodness, or even to get a B. Like there's still pressure, you need to get 60 over 100 to get a B, so you're aiming for 50. There's pressure to, in that point, if you only have 10 in your CA and then you're trying to get 50 points in the exam, so much pressure. But when your CA is solid, then there's less pressure to perform on the exam. It doesn't mean that you won't put in your best effort, but you know that like your best efforts will still land you somewhere good at the end of the day, somewhere that you want to be. Not that like getting B's or C's and is not good. That's not what I'm saying. But if it's important to you, right? Like this is a hack, and I have carried that across to other parts of my life. And in outside of school, it's kind of hard to be able to have those defined markers to say that, okay, I need to do this so that I can do that later. But how I think about it now with my work is that, okay, I have all these things that I need to do, even not just work, like with the podcast, for example, and learning Dutch and all of these things. I have so many things that I need to do. It seems all so big. But if I just focus on the one that's in front of me right now, like, okay, I have Dutch homework today, I will do my Dutch homework, or I can do it tomorrow morning, or before I go for my class, whatever. Like just breaking it down to focus on, what do I need to do right now? What do I need to focus on right now? What's the most pressing thing that is in front of me right now that can help me with this much bigger task, this much bigger goal that I'm trying to achieve? And it really helps, because especially with Dutch, like I want to get to B2 this year. It seems like such a big thing, but the less that I focus on that and the more that I focus on, okay, I need to finish B1.1 and be done with that, and then move to B1.2 and be like just taking it based on what is in front of me right now. And with work, with all the projects I have to do, it's like, okay, what is the most important thing I need to do right now, and what is the one thing I can do right now towards that most important thing, and all the other things that I have to do. So looking at my performance goals, I was looking at my performance goals again, because it's mid-year now, so it's time to start reassessing, like, am I on the right path, blah blah blah. And so I was like, okay, these are my performance goals for the year. Where am I with all of these things? How do I want to focus? And I realized I've been making a mistake. I've been trying to work on all of them at the same time. So I was like, wait, you know what? I should just pick up one of these things and say, okay, for the next 30 days, next 60 days, this is the main goal I'm going to focus on of my 3 performance goals or 4 performance goals for the year, and know that I'm devoting my energy to it. And it just, as I was talking, I just remembered something that I learned in the coaching community that I am in. And it's called the 90-day life cycle thing. Basically, the idea is you pick 2, 3, 1, 2, max 3 things that you want to focus on in 90 days. Instead of trying to address all the areas of your life, just pick 3 things maximum. One or two is even fine, and say for the next 90 days, this is what I'm going to focus on. And so many things are just coming to my mind now. A couple of days ago, I think, no, actually yesterday, I was on the phone with one of my friends and we're talking about the same things. Like, there's just so many things to do. So every day I ask myself, what are the 2 or 3 things that I really want to do today? And for me, every single day right now, and in a couple of weeks, it's going to change, because once I'm done with my daily Dutch classes, it's no more do Dutch every day. It's like, oh, Dutch is now like maybe twice or 3 times a week. But it's like, okay, every day I must read my Bible. I must do my work stuff, like my 9 to 5 job stuff. I must record an episode of this podcast, and I must do daily Dutch. Do something related to my Dutch class or homework or online resources or whatever. And those 4 things, if I have time, if I have the energy for other things, then I can do them. But just really this approach of taking everything one day at a time, or one thing at a time, the most pressing thing in front of you at a time, it really, really is helpful for managing everything that you can think about. Like, even with this podcast, I want to record 305 episodes in the year, and it's such a big thing. And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, oh my god, how am I going to do this? But then really I just have to focus on the episode that I need to publish that day. So today I focus on what I need to publish today. Tomorrow I do tomorrow's own. And Jesus actually, no, like, really, the Bible has all the answers. She just said that don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow has its own worries. Focus on the one that you have to do today. Deal with the day and the things in the day. And yeah, so that's it. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Couple of Things. If there was anything you found interesting or insightful, or you enjoyed the episode, please do share to someone or multiple people. Like, leave a comment, and definitely do subscribe and all the nice things. Bye.